Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. Soft power plays during the pandemic. We take a look at aid that's being sent all around the world. A violent arrest in New York City as officers crack down on social distancing rules. Online gaming really takes off during the pandemic. And a dog gets a little help from some friends. And top of our newsfeed, soft power during the pandemic. Some nations have been very quick to show their largesse and generosity in sending aid to countries in need. It's a humanitarian as well as geopolitical imperative which could lead to a change in the way some states view one another. Here's Paolo.
Since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, many countries faced shortages of medical equipment. Others have stepped in to help. Turkey has sent supplies to more than 60 countries. Its coronavirus diplomacy is seen as strengthening ties with partners who don't always see eye to eye. Turkey has sent aid to nearly 10 nations in Africa. Somalia has received Turkish-made ventilators, and medical supplies have gone to South Africa. Ankara joined a NATO initiative to send supplies to countries like Spain, Italy, and the UK. It's also helped the United States. The country with the highest number of infections and deaths worldwide responded with thanks.
As we face the invisible enemy of the coronavirus, it's clear that the cooperation with our like-minded partners and allies, including Turkey, is as critical as ever. And while the United States of America continues to be a generous contributor to the humanitarian efforts against the COVID-19, we cannot do this alone.
Taiwan has launched a Taiwan Can Help campaign. It's donated 7 million masks to Europe and 2 million masks to the US.
Need to step up cooperation, and that means sharing experiences and materials and working together to develop treatments and vaccines. Pandemics cannot be stopped by one country alone, and Taiwan stands ready to do our part.
Russia has sent medical aid to Italy and other coronavirus-hit countries, but not without criticism. Italians discovered the majority of the supplies were useless for coronavirus treatment, and there was anger. Chinese technology giant Huawei has sent masks to countries such as Canada and the Netherlands, but some observers say it's trying to win contracts for their 5G networks. Politics and business continue even during a pandemic, but so do diplomacy and cooperation. Borders might be closed, but in some ways, this crisis could bring some countries closer together.
Okay, let's take a look at some other COVID-19 related stories that you may have missed. The International Air Transport Association predict that airfares will fall when the skies properly reopen in the next few months, but that they then could go up by at least 50%. Airlines will be desperate for customers, so will encourage them with cheap seats. Then, when it's time to pay shareholders their dividends, airlines will look to increase fares substantially. The IATA predicts that may not be until 2021. Germany says its citizens may be able to take summer holidays abroad. The country is lifting many of its lockdown measures, and the tourism commissioner says they are in discussions with other countries to make sure people who want to travel can do so without spreading disease. This is a robot cleaner. It uses ultraviolet light to clean the floor. They've been deployed at Pittsburgh International in the United States, the first airport in America to make use of such technology. And these are nurses from a hospital in California dancing in celebration as a patient leaves the COVID ward. Not exactly a rave to this mariachi band, but they were caring for this one sick individual for 45 days. Now, video of police officers violently arresting someone in New York City have been shared on social media, leading for calls for that officer involved, Francesco Garcia, to be fired. He has been placed on modified assignment while an investigation is carried out. Apparently, all this happened because people were not adhering to social distancing rules.
Look. He ain't even do nothing. He ain't even do nothing. Move the back. What you flexing for? Don't flex. You got a lot of stuff too.
Around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Wednesday. Well, China has described Hong Kong democracy protesters as a political virus that must be removed. 2019 saw month after month of protests on the streets of Hong Kong by people opposed to greater control of the island by China. Hong Kong will officially become part of China in 2047. The air in your kitchen may be 5 times worse than the most polluted cities. A new report from the Rocky Mountain Institute has found that pollution from gas stoves leaves an air quality which would be deemed illegal if it were outdoors. The owners of a ship that ran aground in Ireland cannot be found. That means the Irish government may have to pay for its removal. The MV Alta is a cargo ship which had been adrift in the Atlantic without a crew for more than a year. It eventually smashed into rocks in Ireland in February. The ship was said to have been sailing from Greece to Haiti in 2019 when it broke down. The crew were rescued by a US Coast Guard team near Puerto Rico, and the ship was towed to Guyana, where it was hijacked. It was then found in the mid-Atlantic with no one on board. Weird stuff. And the dating app Tinder is to launch a video chat function later this year. There have been no details about how it will work. The news came from the latest press release from the app's owners Match Group. They also reported that their app had seen an all-time high in usage during the pandemic, with women under the age of 30 increasing their swiping left and right by 37%. Well, people are playing more video games because they're stuck at home, and I guess you can't watch Netflix all the time.
The coronavirus has pushed cities into lockdown and shuttered non-essential businesses. Many industries have suffered. But as more and more people are encouraged to stay at home, the video gaming industry has emerged relatively unscathed, with representatives from the World Health Organization lauding the mobilization of the gaming industry, encouraging people to stay at home and #PlayApartTogether to beat the coronavirus, despite classifying excessive video gaming as an official disorder only last year. Renowned financial services firm Cohen slated in a recent industry interview that video game successes during the pandemic are simply stating the obvious, and that the video game sector is rather uniquely poised to see very little disruption over the next 12 months. As people are confined to their homes, they expect time spent on video games to increase. And the numbers reflect this. Leading stats portal Statista documented the revenue from digital purchases of games, or soft copies that can be downloaded from home, rising to over $10 billion in March, marking the highest monthly figure ever recorded. And according to global surveys they conducted, 36% of people were spending more time playing video games than they had before the coronavirus pandemic. And comparing the data among certain titles, Counter-Strike Global Offensive saw player numbers increase significantly from around 767,000 last December to just over 1.145 million this March. And according to the gaming stats portal Superdata, this year's Battle Royale edition of Call of Duty Warzone has seen peak activity in April 2020, topping out at almost 63 million players. Mobile gaming also saw a rise in revenue to $5.7 billion in March, an increase of almost 15% in sales from the same time last year, with popular games such as Pokemon Go recording an 18% increase in monthly in-game purchases in March, especially after its parent company, Niantic, made tweaks to the game to make it easier to catch Pokemon while indoors. Meanwhile, more people are tuning in to watch popular gamers play their favorite games. Twitch Tracker reported significant increases in people signing into the popular game streaming service Twitch, recording an average of almost 2.5 million concurrent viewers in April this year, up from 1.18 million from December last year. And with music concerts being cancelled due to the coronavirus pandemic, some artists are now turning to well-known gaming platforms to service their fans. The massively popular game Fortnite, which, according to parent company Epic Games, sports a global gamer base of over 250 million players, recently held 5 10-minute virtual concerts for Grammy Award-nominated artist Travis Scott from April 23 to April 25. The show pushed the limits of what virtual concerts could look like, with artist avatars as large as skyscrapers, teleportation to different dimensions, underwater stages, and dazzling psychedelic worlds. The concerts also debuted a new track that featured Kid Cudi and pulled in a whopping 48.5 million views from over 27.7 million unique viewers, potentially setting the stage for a new way to experience virtual music, with platforms like Facebook's Stars already setting up micropayment transactions for artists and streamers alike. And the gaming industry is pushing the bar further with virtual reality technologies that could see the coronavirus pandemic actually shift the market into the mainstream. The long-awaited addition to Valve's Half-Life series, Half-Life Alyx, was released on March 23 and has been hailed by experts and reviewers across the industry as the new benchmark for virtual reality technology, scoring an impressive 93% on the game review portal Metacritic, the highest for a VR game. With groundbreaking mechanics and trend-setting gameplay, it has become the most successful VR game to date, peaking at almost 43,000 concurrent users on Valve's gaming platform Steam. But despite the obvious boosts in revenue across the gaming industry, the coronavirus pandemic has also come with its costs. Some of the biggest gaming conventions of the year have been cancelled due to coronavirus social measures, including the largest, most well-known convention, the E3 Expo, that was initially scheduled for June 9 through to 11. The cancellation prompted gaming industry giants such as Microsoft, Nintendo, and Ubisoft to look at virtual streaming options to showcase new games and hardware. And in a year where a new generation of video game consoles are expected to launch, the cancellation of gaming conventions could prove detrimental to gamer hype and eventual sales. And many publishers have announced pushbacks to new releases as the coronavirus forces game developers to work remotely or from home, including Naughty Dog Entertainment's highly anticipated title, The Last of Us 2, which Sony delayed from February till June 19. But despite the setbacks, the video gaming industry has continued to push on through the coronavirus pandemic and provide viable options for entertainment as people around the world are forced to stay at home.
And now for some footage of a dog being rescued from a cliff in Ireland in what we presume is non-COVID-19 related incident. This happened on the Cormorant Mountains, where a sheepdog got itself isolated from its shepherd and its flock and had to be saved by the mountain rescue. As you will see, there was a chopper and a team of at least 4 men needed to carry out this mission. The dog was called Ruby. There it is, happy to be rescued, but didn't explain how it ended up down the cliff. And that's all from the Newsfeed team. Reach out to me with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. You'll find me at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on YouTube. You can subscribe to that channel and you can follow me on Twitter. Follow, subscribe and add. Evdekal, stay at home, and I will see you again very soon.